Alright. Where are we going here? It's still a little bit loud. It should be okay mostly. Hello! Who's here? Just about nobody. Okay. Oh no, we got a few. YouTube and OBS always lie to me. It'll say like one person, but it'll actually be like 6, 7, or whatever. I can never trust the number that pops up on OBS. Especially since I'm dealing with smaller numbers. It's just, I think, if you had like, 200, 300 people watching, like if it says 340 and if it says 320, it's not really going to make a big difference. The human. Oh yeah. I agree with the premise. Good. Good. I think it's a really easy question to answer. I don't know, maybe it's my own hubris or something, but I want to get into it. I just want to give a chance for a few people to show up. Not specific people, just a few people before I get into it. And I'd like to get some feedback in chat, for sure. Maybe it's just an old boomer take, right? I'm 40, so maybe it's just an old, naive boomer take. Maybe the Zoomers and beyond are actually in danger. I somehow doubt that. So how's chat, by the way? How's everyone doing today? Anything to report? Only thing I can report on my side is I'm trying, maybe prove me wrong, I say. Well, I can't prove you wrong because I agree. If they can prove me wrong, well, I don't know if we agree for the same reasons there, Anthony, but well, I'll explain why I don't think AI is replacing anything with any real like meaning or value. At least not as of yet, and not anytime soon, and it won't be an LLM that does it. I'll tell you that. Alright, looks like we got a few people here. Let's get rolling. Audio okay, everything coming through, music's not too loud. Also, yeah, a quick update on something I've been trying in my own silly life is I've never been anybody that like grew up smoking or anything like that. I still don't smoke. I will never smoke. Whether it's cigarettes or like marijuana and stuff. But recently I've been kind of messing with a little bit of medicinal THC, like edible stuff. Trying it very, very small doses. For stuff like the anhedonia and depression, see if it has any effect. Small doses didn't really do much thus far, incredibly small. I just wanted to test my tolerance for such things. I'm guessing it's kind of higher than I assumed, because the most effect I got out of a rather small dosage was a mild sensation of feeling kind of chilled. But I'm generally pretty chilled, so I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. Maybe like if I were to do that on a particularly stressful day or something. But I'm experimenting with it because I want to see if it could actually increase, even in the most slight manner. Oh, hold on, my daughter's here. My little one. One sec. There we go. Yeah, she sneaks up on me, my littlest one. But anyway, so yeah, I've been messing with it a little, but what I'm hoping to get out of it is something like a slight increase in like enjoying things that I like to do, like playing games or reading or watching videos on things that I find interesting. I want to see if we can up the enjoyment of evening activities a little bit. Because like I'd rather use that instead of like a few shots of vodka, because that's not very healthy, in order to find a little more evening time enjoyment in my activities. The anhedonia be strong some days, and on those days I can kind of navigate it, but by the evening it usually starts wearing down a little bit, but it takes too long, and I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird situation. It's also because I use Vyvanse early in the morning for ADHD, and I feel like the crash from it by the evening has been having an effect on like my ability to enjoy some of the stuff that I like to do in the evening more. I don't know if it's related, but yeah. So essentially, I'm trying to add something to my routine that is far healthier for purposes of de-stressing, relaxation, and things of that nature. So, first time trying, and nothing so far, but we'll see. In any case, let's get started. So, in regards to AI, the reason I'm bringing it up today is because, man, I've just had a lot of Zoids write stuff or DM me something or comment or like different stuff, like with this like big concern when it comes to like AI generated content, and especially visual, and now with video getting better and better. There's also a lot of like, I wouldn't even call them tech bros, just bros, or non art bros, if anything, casual media enjoyers, saying really goofy stuff about how it's going to replace all the artists, it's going to replace all the writing, it's going to replace all the movie making, and all this sort of stuff. Well, there's a lot of reasons why I don't believe that in the least. Now, we can go into the more in-depth, or like the more, I don't know, psychological reason, sociological sort of reason, cultural reason. It's never going to happen, at least not within the next few lifetimes. The only time I would say start getting concerned is if we actually create artificial intelligence, not this LLM shit, because it's not artificial intelligence. If we can create consciousness in another like life form that we can manufacture, which I think is horribly unethical and should never happen, I would not be concerned in the least. We're nowhere near Detroit becoming human or whatever. All right. Yeah. But yeah, I hope we never do that either, because like I said, it's unethical, and also it would be a new responsibility that humanity would have to take as a fellow sentient conscious being. And then essentially it'd be no different. I feel like there are people that would argue otherwise, but from a more, and I'm not even a materialist, but from a more materialist perspective, creating actual artificial intelligence, not this shit, is the equivalent of giving birth to a child that you are now responsible for. So that's why I don't think that's a responsibility that humans can properly undertake. So I certainly hope, unless we hit some kind of like really, really super advanced like federation type of thing where we start like respecting like silicon-based life forms as, you know, being citizens of the country or whatever, like just don't do it. That's stupid. But anyway, we're nowhere near that, so no worries on that one. But as far as LLMs go, there's a couple of things, and I do this kind of work, by the way. Like that's like I guess my normal job is messing around with LLMs in various types of capacities and categories and audio, visual, whatever, all kinds. And there are things that can never be replaced. And these psychological things that cannot be replaced is the human need to commiserate, to connect with creations created by other human beings. It's very simple, and I don't understand why a lot of these people that think that everything is about technical quality and visuals and, like, you know, these sort of things is like the begin and end all of what things like art, writing, of any kind of creative endeavor is about. It's very confusing why they would think that. It might just be it's just, you know, it's a lot of clickbait, or it's also like they just don't understand like art and what it is, and it's not just like the quality of what's being produced. It's not the same thing as, you know, something that you would find, even though somebody might argue it's its art form, but something you would do with something like, I don't know, like mechanical engineer, right? It's not about efficiency. It's not about cleanliness. It's not about, you know, functionality. And it's weird for me to see how people treat it that way. And I feel like most of the people that think that AI is going to replace art are people that aren't even into art to begin with. I really, really, truly believe that. I think those are people that just do not understand art or have an appreciation for it, to put it simply. It's not a matter of intellect necessarily. It's just a matter of where are they putting their thoughts and energy, and art is definitely not one of those things. If when it comes to people thinking it's going to replace anything like that. Now, what kind of art could it replace? What kind of creative human creations of that type, which give people meaning and value and so on internally, what could it replace? Honestly, the only kind of art and things it could replace is the kind that's already soulless to begin with, such as like corporate art, marketing related art, stuff it's literally just created for the sole purpose of a kind of superficial entertainment or attention grabbing. Maybe people that have jobs like that are gonna have a tough time as far as art stuff goes, but if you're talking about like niche stuff or any kind of indie stuff, or honestly anything, including the game development, there's this fundamental component that people ignore. Humans want things made by humans because they're essentially the conscious beings, experiences being transferred, what's the word, not transferred, but like reconfigured, expressed into some kind of digital physical medium, something they created. And it's that very act that gives much art its value. So that can't be replicated. Even if you could replicate like the tone, the nuance, the quality, or replicate someone that has gone through it and then put it on, you know, metaphorical paper, the moment people know it's not coming from a person is the moment that art loses like 85% of its value to a lot of people. To the people that would like be interested or heavily invest into anything art related or have a deep interest in it, that's immediately going to go out the door. And even with schizoids, I would say too. And the reason I think it would immediately go out the door with the average schizoid, as in it's not going to take over you're not going to be like going, man, this AI stuff is so clean, it's so much better, I'm going to never bother with anything made by another person ever again. No matter the medium. And one of the reasons I think that, and you would think, oh, well, schizoids don't care that it's made by people, right? Aren't they indifferent to other people? Aren't they this? Aren't they that? You know, these statements that are honestly just horseshit. It's that media, art, is something, it's one of the few ways the average schizoid can actually connect to humanity in some, like, important way. It is one of the methods. It is one of the only available methods that a schizoid could comfortably, even if they wouldn't like necessarily immediately acknowledge it or its connection, even if they kind of detach those things, it is a means in which they could experience the human story of others. Because in the form of an element of media, there's so much interpretation that they might only see the things that make sense to them, and thus they're just finding the overlaps of information that is being kind of symbolized or projected onto that piece of art. One of the pieces of evidence that I think show us that no kind of art or creative endeavor that requires human experience is going to be replaced by AI is because AI has already gotten significantly better at writing long before anything like video or visual media. It's very, very far along the way as far as writing and response goes, but just writing. Like, it could write a book if it needed to, or if you kind of trained it to piece by piece and elaborated and refed it. It can do it, and it can do it a lot faster than a human being. But no one is... People are producing these kinds of weird AI-generated books. No one is buying them. Human beings have an automatic penchant to going, oh, this has no soul. Even if you don't believe in the actual human soul, this has no conscious experience that actually occurred within that which is brain and mind, and it has no actual emotional capacity. It is just mimicking it. Just knowing that, it removes everything of value from a story that is written, no matter how well written it may be. They may go, wow, this is really technically cool. It's well written, but like, I don't know, I just can't connect to it. It's just some fucking bot that wrote it. Like, this didn't come from their lived experience. This came from other people's lived experience. Similarly to how a lot of artists are complaining, and rightfully so, about so much of their kind of independent art and stuff being scrubbed like crazy and regurgitated into like these like disgusting, in my opinion, and that's just me because I'm an art lover, like what's the word, not a manticore, but like a homunculus, a fucking I don't even want to call it that. I was thinking of Manticore because of Boogie Pop Phantom, but there's just like configuration of actual experiences, things created through actual experience, getting all the most superficial aspects of it and churning shit out. Look, the people that are going to be satisfied with that stuff, these are people that have no philosophical inclinations of any kind in the least. These are people that they just want pretty images that make for exciting thing or explosion pretty shiny. even people that like aren't big time art lovers, but just like say something simple as like, wow, I read this book, I really related to the characters in these stories, or I really related to what the author was trying to say, or I really related to what this film was trying to convey. Like this really resonated with me, right? Even on like the most basic level. Let's just say it's not a big media lover, big, it's just, you know, Joe Schmo, as some streamers like to say, your average Walmart enjoyer here in the States, they're still not going to be okay with paying for shit that is AI generated. Part of what makes something viable as far as a human being wanting to go, I'm going to shell out my money that I earn doing my wagey shit, is somebody else is wagey shit, or not wagey shit, but somebody else's work, right? Blood, sweat, and tears is going into this other thing. And I understand that I have to pay, and we're not going to get into capitalism and all that, but I have to give something to the creator of that thing and their efforts in return for the enjoyment it brings me. If the shit is being made by AI and there is no blood, sweat, and tears of any kind, human beings are not going to be like, I'm ready to pay for that. Gimme. I don't think so. I think that argument alone is going to be like, wait a minute. If it only took you like 20% or 15% of the resources to make this thing, that you would, because you're using AI or LLMs, why isn't it 75% cheaper? Why is it the same price? I don't want to pay that. And this is just people that like don't have that, like they don't have much like thought about like where the art they're enjoying is coming from. But it's the same thing with musicians, right? Even a singer, a musician of any kind. If it sounds good, it's gonna be fine until the person discovers, oh, this is AI generated. The moment someone hears that, the average person hears that, it loses fucking instant value, because there's no singer there. There's not a person who went through relatable events in their life, that experienced them, that were troubled by them, they had to work them out, and then those got kind of taken and shaped into lyrics, and then the emotionality of those lyrics are then vocalized. Like, these kind of abstract concepts are important to almost everyone, even if they're not like actively thinking about them as much as a Zoid probably does, because of all the constant fucking introspection and thinking about thinking and thinking about thinking about thinking. And so a lot of the times the schizoids approach their media with that level of analysis or in-depth kind of looks, because I would argue part of the reason is because this is one of the fundamental ways they can connect to their own species, whether, you know, they don't like to admit it or not. And I think it's a very basic way that even the most aloof or somewhat detached from the rest of humanity type human still kind of still does, right? Like, let's just say you're just incredibly antisocial, right? Like to the point where, I don't know, somebody would say you have an antisocial personality disorder or something. Those people still is misanthropic or sometimes hateful as some of them can be. They still like listen to music a lot of the time. They still even if it's like fucked up shit or like really misanthropic music, it's still them connecting to another human being that is just as misanthropic or antisocial as them, because they're conveying it through some kind of art form. So even people that have very little regard for others, for a variety of reasons, even those people connect through art. And so that's why I just do not see it. It's a cost analysis thing that's going through people's heads. It's a value, internal value, meaning analysis, relatability. There's these layers that cannot be replicated. It just can't be. I will tell you right now, if you told a person, check this out, if you told a person, hey, You know that artist you like, the real human artist you like, person A over here that makes the cool like I don't know, dojin or the cool manga or the cool um furry art or whatever. I don't care. You know this person you follow and you think is really cool and you bought some of their work or bought some of their merch or follow them on YouTube or wherever, TikTok, whatever. Yeah, hey, check this out. You know how this shit over here costs like 15 bucks, 20 bucks? I got this AI generated shit. It looks exactly like this person's shit. You couldn't even tell the difference. $1. Right here. Right for you. $1. The art enjoyer of any kind will say, nah, I'm good. They will say, nah, I'm good. Because there are things art generates and creates thoughts, emotions, subjective forms that no AI can do. And that's why I find it baffling that there's people going around thinking like game devs are out, artists are fucked. Oh yeah, voice actors are fucked. Oh man, it's another thing too. If you're watching some anime or something, if you're a fucking weeb like me and you're like, oh yeah, this is pretty good, and then like you come to find out, oh, it's just a bunch of AI generated voices, you're gonna be like, it's gonna put a bad taste in your mouth, or you're gonna listen to it and be like, I don't know, it doesn't have that punch, doesn't have. Hey, how come this voice sounds like? Or here's another problem for those that actually are more deeply into voice acting and stuff, and whether it's dubbed or subbed, in whatever language, but you're gonna be like, hey, that kind of sounds like that one guy that I really like that also voiced this and that. And then when you go to find out who voiced it and it was AI generated, you're gonna be like, why does it sound like the guy, the real human flesh guy that does voices? Oh wait, it's because they're stealing his shit. And that's gonna put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth too. Another thing too, how do you replace actors? Oh, just make AI hot AI generated people to be in movies. There's a reason that normies or otherwise read things like, well, I'm dating myself, but read things like People Magazine or watch reality shows or follow TMZ and shit like that, right? Because they develop this sort of parasocial relationship with the people that are in these mediums. That's another thing AI cannot recreate. Even if you got, let's just say you got Emma Watson's or whatever actress, you got her face and her body and everything, and you fucking, you're like, okay, we got everything that makes up this actress. Now we can just put her in any fucking movie we want in our AI generated films. Bro, the moment people know that's fucking not her and that shit is just being like generated, even if she sold her own rights to do that, people are not going to the movies for sure, paying that kind of fucking price. They're not going to be streaming it because somebody's going to say, and somebody's going to point out, and it's going to trend, hey, this is another one of these like fake AI generated Netflix movies. And once like a lot of these streaming services have that kind of stuff, if they did that, people don't want to pay for that shit. It's very simple. A lot of these people just really forget these like very super simple things about humans, right? And I'm not just talking about like stuff that I would care about. I'm talking about stuff that like people that aren't a fucking weirdo like myself care about. I'm talking about like, neurotypical people, they all care about this kind of shit. Yeah, I mean, like I've been trying to actively unsubscribe to any channel or I don't subscribe to channels that have AI voices, unless it's being used as like I like obvious AI voices used for the purposes of humor, or to like kind of like, I don't know, just to like convey something that doesn't already have a voice attached to it and isn't just a regurgitation of like other people's video essays that got scraped, because fuck that. Like one of the few, and I still don't like that they use a AI generated art for their thumbnails. I used to use some of that stuff. I stopped doing so because I learned a lot more about where this art is coming from in the last year or so, and so like yeah, I stopped using them. There's still some in there, but I'm going to be staying away from them from now on, because I just find it pretty unethical to not have a situation in which whatever artists were used to create something are being credited properly, and if anything, paid royalties like anybody else would. Me, that one time I used an AI voice on my Arhedonia video. LOL. That's funny. But yeah, like these very simple things about what art is, whether it's poetry or fiction or whatever, it's so simple. Okay, a big example, George R.R. Martin, right? Motherfucker hasn't finished the goddamn Song of Ice and Fire books. Fucking at this point, millions of people that read fiction and fantasy or anything like that, even people that aren't necessarily into fantasy, got into these books, especially because of the HBO show that it eventually turned shit. I'm not going to get into that, but if Martin dies, the only thing that any person, any fan would be okay with is if somebody that was his second, that was like an intimate friend, close, and also like a professional author, and he left enough manuscripts, he left enough stuff, he left all these things combined with whatever knowledge he left behind with this person, kind of like what Miura did, what we got with Berserk, right? Unless it's that kind of setup and conditions, any book related to the Song of Ice and Fire universe will not be enjoyed or given a fuck about by people. They will automatically write it off as non-canon. Guarantee. If it's AI generated. Even if you got all of Martin's things he's ever said, everything he's ever written, you scrubbed all that shit, his likeness, you put it on the fucking thing, and like, let's just say he gave up his rights to it before death or something, and then like, or the laws go crazy and there's just like nothing, it's just a fucking Wild West, and then they go like George R.R. Martin's finale to the Song of Ice and Fire, and that motherfucker died before like that shit even got finished. Everyone's gonna fucking throw tomatoes at that shit instantly. And it is abstract nature. It is almost, not metaphysical, but you know, you get into some weird kind of like metaphysical consciousness philosophy type stuff that the average person really feels, even if they don't like, haven't taken the time to like comprehend what that is or like really sit down and think about it, because not everyone's interested in that kind of shit, and that's fine. I'll tell you right now, a lot of schizoids are, because they think about their art. So they do that a lot, in many ways, different tiers, some more autistic, some more schizoid, whatever, but the fundamental thing is that point. Kind of unrelated, but those AI overview things that now show up whenever you Google something, or yeah, dude, I fucking hate them. They're like wrong so often. It's wild. The only time I click on them is because they'll produce like citations or a source, and I just click on that. I'll go like, okay, okay, I'll click on that, and then I'll just look at that. Because the other day, I'm not going to say what show, because it'll be spoilers for anybody. Well, actually, I'll say what show, but I won't say like what happened. So I've been watching what I think is an incredibly good show, which is the Mighty Gemstones. I think it's a very funny show. I actually like the approach they took, which is to make fun of televangelists and things of that nature, but it's not actually crap. It's not even poking fun at like Christianity in any way, because that shit's been like a beating a dead horse. Like, it's so boring now to like make that's like so fucking like late 90s, early 2000s. It's like, all right, okay, fedora atheists, got it, like, whatever. But point is, this one goes after like the corruption, but also kind of it's funny. Um, it's a bunch of like unlikable characters in many ways, but then also there's some likable features. I don't know. It's all rather silly and human. But anyway, I finished one of the seasons, and there was something about it that I was like, what was that about? And so I typed it into Google to see if any kind of Reddits or threads of any kind or an article would pop up or something. And like the first thing that pops up is the AI overview. I read it, it's like completely fucking wrong. And I'm like, yo, this season's been out for a bit, I think. And like you completely like it's just totally off the mark. And this is like a mainstream show. This is an HBO show, and there's plenty of written material about this thing at this point, and it's still got it fucking wrong. That alone, see, you got to think long term. If people come across that situation often enough, no matter how accurate or more efficient it becomes over time, the less a lot of people are going to trust it, no matter what everyone says that it's accurate. Because they're implementing it out there in an already kind of half cocked, some like often kind of hit and miss sort of way. And especially fan bases that of anything that are like, you know, really interested, they're gonna see all the mistakes or weird like lack of nuance, and they're gonna be like, no, fuck this thing, it doesn't get it. It doesn't get it. The fuck? It's the most basic bitch take I've ever heard on like the thing. That's what you're gonna see. You Yalamze, welcome. You could always rewatch as a VOD anything that I've been talking about for like the last 40 minutes or so. But yeah, it's all this stuff that I mentioned. Everything from the human experience element that can't be replicated, the blood, sweat, and tears that can't be replicated, so those people don't want to exchange things of worth for it type issue. The appreciation for its creation decreases significantly. No longer will you play a if say like AI started making like you know some kind of indie games or something, and even on the if on the face of it is like it's cool looking and everything. When you're playing it, you're not going to say, "Wow, I can't believe like two guys made this. That's really cool." You're just going to be like, "Wow, I can believe that AI made this. That's kind of bland." That's how it's going to feel. And Google needs to add an option to turn it off for real, man. I hate that I have to scroll down before I can see the fucking hyperlinks. And then, unfortunately, the links are often full of already AI generated like articles and things like that. I don't care that people are making these things. I would like an option, to like be like, no, no, no. Like imagine. Oh, here's another one that I think could cause people to like be untrustworthy of a lot of AI stuff. Imagine if somebody is talking to somebody about something and they want to seem like knowledgeable in it, and so they just fucking hit up the AI for a rundown of something, and then they're like faking it like they fucking know what's up. They're just being like a mad poser or something. And then they like say shit that's absolutely not true or totally fucked that the AI gave them, and that embarrasses the living shit out of them. They're not gonna trust that thing anymore. That's a more like interpersonal, weird, kind of yucky possibility. But I can see people doing that. The people do that. People do that. They're looking to date somebody and they're like, "Oh, I'm into this." And, "Oh, fuck, I don't know anything about that. Hey, tell me, AI, tell me what that's about." Um, yeah, you're just gonna get like, and another thing too. You want like instant, like easy, to spread propaganda. It's gonna just come through there. So if people see that, they start seeing like political, like biases of some kind propping up in their AI generated content, and they're gonna be like, "Fuck these robots! They're trying to put shit under our brains." There's a Sims ripoff game called released pretty recent called Inzoi. and people realized it felt empty and barren. Then turned out they used a bunch of AI slot for it because of fucking course. Yeah, that's happened more than once. Where like somebody doesn't announce it's AI, and they're like, even if they're not looking for technical flaws, they're like, something's wrong. And I don't gotta get into like metaphysics or any of that, or like I have my beliefs, whatever. But there is something psychologically there that a human being can sort of pick up, um, and sort of know. And if it feels off, they're already going to be kind of like turned off by it. They're going to be like, I don't know, something about it. But if they find out, oh, it's AI generated, that's it. That's why. Fuck this thing. No wonders. That's going to be the reaction. 100%. And I think the people that are going to be like super invested into like AI generated content are people, like I said, they're like, they just want to be entertained. They're essentially just like coomers, like media coomers. Like I just want flashing lights, and I want big bright thing, and I want like AI, like it's the people that would just like tap all day to like to their AI generated porn. Like it's the equivalent of that. And then another concern people bring up is this. They say, well, if AI could just generate for you like content that is like perfect for you, and it literally makes the movie you've always wanted to see, that again, that's like Coomer shit. I don't think people want that. I think that's like legit just weird hedonistic self-absorbed Coomer shit. And I don't think the average person is going to fall for that or be interested in that. That's like saying that the average person would be satisfied with a like a very very like human replica of a person to like marry or be in a relationship with, because like that person is just perfect. They have the perfect personality, they have the perfect looks, they have the perfect this fit to your all your parameters that you like. It's always going to be a fucking empty, because there are some psychological barriers there that will not be overcome unless, I guess, like somebody just doesn't give a shit. They're just a fucking, they're just gooning. They're just like, their whole life is just hedonistic gooning, and they just care about, I don't know, nothing of any kind of like abstract idea. Um, that's a small market. That's not the biggest market. And even then, right? You gotta think this too. Like, try to put your like interpersonal focus brain. It's hard for Zoids because I have to try into it because my brain just doesn't live there. But another point, societal shame, right? So even if you have an AI girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, right? Or say you're just sitting there all day watching your AI generated, perfectly suited to you content. There's going to be a lot of people in your life, and a lot of people the internet, and a lot whatever places, especially for people that are very want to be respected, or they want to be accepted by other people, things like that. People that are kind of concerned with that stuff more. Those people are going to be made fun of. They're going to be told this, told that. It's going to be considered something lame, something kind of not like gross or weird, or like just lazy, or it's going to be something negative. And so then that's another reason, one of many reasons, I don't think AI will replace anything of meaning and value. Um, at least for the average person that isn't like, I guess maybe people that find meaning and value in doing like office work for their corporation. Those people will be very sad because AI can replace that. AI can replace once it gets associated with like robotics and stuff. Even if it's like just an LLM, it could probably replace certain types of like like was it hard labor. So people that get meaning out of like I don't know, like lifting crates for Amazon and things like that, those people might feel sad. I'm not saying that's like an inferior way of gaining meaning, but that's still like a small like percentage of people that we have to be kind of pragmatic about here. Like, so yeah, it's gonna suck for that very small percentage of people that like really find meaning in their like wagey cagey life. Hopefully they'll find meaning in something else, work on something that feels a little more meaningful. Maybe they just want to, maybe they're just really lifting boxes into trucks. Just buy a truck, just fill a bunch of boxes of bricks and just do that all day. I don't know. You'll get buff, you'll get strong. I don't know. Just fucking moving around boxes full of bricks. Fucking fuck up your back. But that's the kind of stuff that ultimately AI will replace. Once that kind of stuff, once these kind of like various types of jobs get replaced by things like that, um, they will be forced, whether it's the states or companies or whatever, they will be forced to create some kind of system in which some kind of post scarcity system for like basic necessities and things like that. Because one of the things that you cannot replace, no matter how much money, well, money, see, this is the thing, money can artificially create those. But one of the things that people in the highest positions, you know, in conventional capitalist, whatever status, class, money, whatever, one of the things that a lot of those people care about is admiration or respect, or like this kind of like looking up to them by others. They and that AI will not be able to give them, because that will feel empty to them. So if they had just a bunch of fucking robot customers, uh giving them their robot money that they didn't actually do much to get, that is not going to be a satisfying thing for a lot of people in power, because they want to control actual people. It's kind of gross to like say it like that, but yes, people that want to control others, some kind of psychopaths in the highest echelons of society, they still want people to control. They don't want to control automatons. That doesn't give them their fix. It's the same reason why, even if you're a really like empathetic person that gives a shit about like people suffering in human society, you know, say you work at a soup kitchen, you know, every other weekend, are you going to go to the soup kitchen and you're feeding fucking robots running on LLMs to produce for you, or a virtual reality? Are you going to wear a virtual reality helmet and then like do virtual feeding the homeless and find satisfaction in taking that action? Would you feel productive doing it in any capacity? No. Fuck no. And for people that are far less empathetic and just are manipulative, would they find satisfaction in bullying like LLM people, who generated people? No. It might be an interesting novelty for a minute. It'll wear down very quickly. So even malevolent forces still want people. Even malevolent forces still want people. It's kind of like grim to think about, but it's true. So I don't see AI replacing a lot of things. I see AI facilitating a lot of things. I see AI being used to cut corners in certain things. I see AI allowing people to do things that have little to nothing to do with the thing that gives them meaning. A good example would be if you're a musician, if you got to go on tour, But you don't want to sit there and spend 2 hours trying to figure out where all the venues are and what the phone numbers are for those venues, or something of that nature, right? Yeah, you can get AI to give you a list. So there's a few mistakes, not a big deal. Then you can make the calls that you need to do, and get the book the shows that you need to do so you can do what it is you want to do, which is fucking sing your songs or play your music and then share it with other humans or whatever. It can do stuff like that. I think it's going to be doing things like that. So it might be replacing something like a booking agent, maybe booking agents. So if your passion in life is being a booking agent, maybe that's not going to be too good, right? But here's another thing that AI won't replace. AI will never replace therapy. It will never replace. It can try to. I mean, you could go into a dystopia where they try to do it, but it's just going to be like them trying to do it and everyone hating it, and just wanting nothing to do with it or pretending because the state is forcing you to use the AI generated therapy. But point is, human beings that need counseling, need therapy, and that's a lot of people, they are not going to want to hear it from an LLM. They're just not. They're just gonna be like, because there's like an interpersonal aspect the average person cares about. But even a Zoid like me, even though I'm not like that worried, oh, it's a person that's in front of me talking to me. On a more like I said, it's about, has this person suffered? Is this a thing? Is this a person that has suffered that I find interesting? Well, good for you, arbitrary. But I think it's going to lose its luster for a lot of folks. Because what it will also do is, oftentimes the way LLMs are often designed is they won't push where they're supposed to push. They won't insert their own experiences or their own thoughts where they're supposed to. They won't engage or experiment in ways that you wouldn't think of, and then force you or put you in a position in which you would engage with it. It still gives you this sort of constant caveat to just stop them from ever saying anything like that ever again. If you order that, if you command it to be. Also, as it currently stands, they're not that great at consistency, as far as for the same person coming back once a week or anything like that. The actual what's the word, balance, the proper therapist, psychologist, whatever, that knows what they're doing has to do the balance, the balancing game, the psychological sort of warfare inside their mind or conflict of understanding how to dictate their emotions from the work they're doing and the person they're trying to help. All that sort of shit is part of what makes that something to be a sort of appreciated profession that people can connect with. I was just talking about as a patient. I don't know how good it is versus IRL therapist. Well, I mean, see, that's the thing. Like, I think part of the reason a lot of schizoids don't find therapy very useful is because the approaches that are being taken are they're just not. They're not hitting the mark. They're not exploring in places that they should be, because there's a fundamental misunderstanding about what I think the schizoid is. And I'm not gonna get back into that because I already did like a bunch of shit on that before. There's probably VODs of it, me talking about that kind of shit. So anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to say for the most part. So schizoid, not schizoid, mentally ill, not as mentally ill, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Normie, not normie, art lover, not art lover, art creative, not creative, art creator, not creator, content creator, whatever. Like, the average human being is not going to allow LLMs to replace a lot of this shit. Now, are they going to care if the commercial is AI generated? Probably not. So you already hate commercials anyway. The average person dislikes commercials. Like they don't go like, wow, I'm so glad my show was interrupted by this commercial about like diapers or Burger King. At best, they might go like, oh yeah, it's something to keep in mind. But they still wish the commercial wouldn't pop up. Everybody and their mom likes to use ad blockers. So yeah, if we get AI generated like commercials, they'll get made fun of. That's already happened. That's already happened. And well, yeah, it depends. A lot of people that use like streaming services like Hulu and Disney Plus and stuff, all there's commercials all over that bitch. Unless you want to pay the extra fee or whatever the fuck, the no commercial fee. The point is, this sort of stuff is just gonna be like, it's just gonna be corpo shit. So maybe all the corpo artists are gonna be like yeeted in favor of AI. And we probably don't even know how many things are AI generated that we see every day. That's why people are going to want to know. They're going to need some kind of like validation in that department, because it's the stuff we see that's AI generated that we're not paying for, that we're not actively spending time, our life, fucking our limited lifetime. We're not investing that into it. We're like, the average person's probably not going to give a fuck. Because it's not stuff they give a shit about. But the people who actually give a shit about those things and they're willing to invest time and money into those things, they're going to care. And they're going to want to investigate, and they're going to want to know, is this AI generated? And then they're going to start creating systems in which people, artists, developers are going to have to basically put a seal or prove that it's not AI generated. It's going to be that yucky. And that, like, the average person is not going to know why it's so yucky, because they're maybe not spending a lot of time thinking about it, but they have a basic understanding of like, it's something feels off. Something feels not okay with this. I don't want to pay for this. I don't want to dedicate my time to this. I don't want to pay for this gotcha. All these designs were just made by AI. They weren't actually made by like a person that sat and like really thought out the lore of the game and the character, and then like decided on a cool way, and through their own kind of like a relationship with that character that they're designing a skin for or something. Oh, that person, that's just AI. Nobody actually sat down and did that. There was no talk about what it should be or decision making of a real level. Yeah, I don't want to pay money for that shit. I don't want to pay for that microtransaction. Fuck that shit. Fuck that noise. That shit better be free. And if it's free, it's still gonna feel weird. But at least it's free. But if AI generated content is only going to be successful if it's free, I don't think there's a lot of incentive there. That's all I'm saying. Skynet? Oh yeah, Skynet. I'm not worried about Skynet, because this is not Skynet levels of shit. We're not in Skynet levels of shit. But what AI generated game, though, that is just got, it won't matter. Well, what if an AI, it could produce this badass fucking game, and you're gonna just see elements of other games, right? And then you're gonna know it's just like, it's not even trying to like, it's not even inspired by the content that you previously enjoyed. It's just regurgitating things that look nice. But if the gameplay doesn't hit, if the art doesn't resonate, for all the reasons I've already discussed, especially you have the knowledge and the forethought of like, oh, this is AI generated, and then people will become progressively more paranoid about that, and so they're going to want systems in place to like sift through it. it doesn't matter if it's God tier. It what is in any case, what is God tier when it comes to a game, right? It's so highly subjective to begin with. Like everyone talked about how God of War, like the latest one, was God tier. I don't know, I thought it was kind of mid. But everyone's like God tier. I'm like, it's all right. It's cool. Visuals alone was enough. You know, dumpster fires like Assassin's Creed Shadows would do better. But it's just like people cared about all these other layers beyond just does it look cool? AIs today probably can't do it because source from human information doesn't learn. But even if it gets good at making it, they could make something for everyone in the game, like in real life. Yeah, but it can't replicate all the stuff I already intimated. These are things that are almost, they're just conceptual in nature and matter to people. You cannot replicate that. You would have to create an entire, you would have to somehow trick all people. Existence and reality and other human beings in general would have to become AI generated. Like I get it, but like art comes from human experience. AI doesn't have that. It can't produce something God tier unless it actually understood those experiences. Yes, human spirit, whatever you want to call it. Experience. The experience of another biological being that is the same species as yourself, right? It's sourced by humans. It is not sourced by humans. It's stolen by humans. I mean, it's stolen by AI. It's stolen. It is not a human game. That is not a human game. That's just a bastardization of what human experience is and getting the most superficial aspects of it and then putting them out there and creating something that it took no actual effort from any conscious being. Yeah, but then you start getting into these weird arguments. I get what you're saying, arbitrary, because like it's not a human hive mind. That's not how that works. I mean, because at that point you could just make the argument of like, I don't know, let's just create a bunch of silicon based life forms that archive our all our human history, and then let's just like genocide every living human because they have the information and now they're creating the things, so humans are no longer necessary. They don't have to exist anymore because now we could just put it all that and then let the AI take care of the rest. No, I know. What I'm saying is that there's going to be events that are still happening that are shaping what the human experience looks like at any given moment. And what it's culminated to, when it's fallen, when it's risen, what has been learned. You have things like cross-cultural type shit and expansions. There's a lot of DLC that is not going to be picked up. Humans control the AI, but okay, fine, you can make it, but why would anyone pay for it? AI sticking things together and what it seems to work. Where's the soul? Where's the creativity? That's I'm saying, even though these are like kind of almost metaphysical terms or whatever, if you want to just go into the psychological realm, like it's just straight up human behavior, that is still going to be something that human beings are going to say and feel on average. They might use different words to explain it, but they're going to say that. And that's not going to change. That's not going to change. So, I mean, like even, I know it sounds like kind of goofy to say it. One example is making the best game with all human information. It's fed, so the best based on that info. But yeah, but the best game it could make is not going to be everyone's best game. It's going to be like it's going to be mid. Everyone's going to find it mid. It's going to make a mid-ass game with no dedicated, with little to no dedicated fans. because it's just going to fucking produce what it thinks the average human being wants. And there's so many factors that you have to include in that it's just going to be the most mid fucking game possible. It can't make a game that everyone likes. That's goofy, you know? It's never going to happen. Maybe portions of humankind will like. But I have a feeling it'll make something that nobody likes that much, but nobody hates. No, then we're just getting into like magical thinking territory, which I'm okay with because I'm on that schizo side of things. I fuck with that. But yeah, we're just getting into like science fiction, magical thinking stuff, which it's fun, but I don't know. There's some what ifs that just get like boring to me. Um, but yeah, like it reminds me of that argument of like, and I've made it too. I've made it like I'm not hold it strongly, but it is an idea that like there is no such thing as there is no such thing as something that is man-made and not natural. Like there's an argument regarding it. Like everything that man makes is natural. I don't know, it's like an AI simulation for what you as a single human like. I get so fucking bored of that. I can't even think of that. I can't even think of what that would be. It would have to be literally gaslighting me and like manipulating my brain and changing how I fundamentally think for me to be able to enjoy it at that level and knowing what it is. So I guess if that happens. And I'm pretty sensitive about my autonomy, as most schizoids are, and I don't think that would fly too well, even for a lot of people that aren't sensitive to it. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, that nothing is technically unnatural. It's a man-made. The atomic bomb is nature, right? The very pollution that is destroying the earth is nature, because the human brain developed evolutionarily, naturally, as a process that created a machine, an organic machine that can now generate virtually anything given enough time and resources. So even the very things that would destroy the planet, you can argue are nature. So I've chewed on that one in the past. It doesn't mean that it makes it, but see, that's also a way you can argue against things like naturalistic fallacies, or such as human nature or the human condition. There's a lot of bullshit like that that's still very well accepted and very much generates a lot of the thinking about a lot of fields that we currently like fuck with now. So if we can't call, if people aren't ready to call, you know, fucking ozone disruption and fucking man-made horrors beyond comprehension, natural, yeah, think on that. Why can't we call them natural? There's something there. How is it any different than I don't know, any byproduct or change that any animal makes to their environment? In fact, even if it's destructive, but think about invasive species, right? Is it natural for that species to generate what it's going to generate and destroy the ecosystem in which it found itself? Yeah, see, everything's natural at that point, though. Yeah, I know, that's what I mean. That's why it's goofy. That's the same thing as arguing that AI is just an amalgamation of human experiences. So thus, there's something there that is not quite right. And that is sort of an example of where the conceptual becomes like untenable and intangible in the mind of the average person. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I'm not wrong, but are we gonna live life as if that's how? Like, should we all just be resigned to like the destruction of the planet because, like, well, it's human nature. Well, this is all nature. It's nobody's fault. You know what? In that case, we would have to call every death ever natural causes. Everyone that has ever died has died of natural causes. but how useful is it to designate things like that? Because then we could just write natural causes on every coroner's report. Bullet to the head, natural causes. Heart attack, natural causes. Rarer form of disease, natural cause, doesn't matter. It's a natural cause. Yeah, it's a naturalistic fallacy. Those are all, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, people sort of use them, and yeah, appealing to nature. Yeah, same thing. Appealing to nature. That's why I hate that kind of shit. Where somebody's like one of like the worst things that happened in the last few years is the dichotomy that was created between things that were like fueled by evolutionary psychology ideas and things that were fueled by like people that are counter to the ideas that were kind of attached to things related to evolutionary psychology. And both extremes have done, I don't know about irreparable, significant damage to discourse. Like, it's crazy. Like, I can't tell you, there's so many places on the internet that you can't say evolutionary psychology without somebody assuming a variety of things. Because it's being so improperly used. Even by people that should be properly using it. It's crazy. Like, if I bring up something like Evo Psych in one space, they'll be like, oh, so you're one of those. But if I bring it up in another space, oh, so you understand what I'm talking about. And I'm just fundamentally like not vibing or agreeing with what the person's talking about. You get those two type of situations. It's fucking weird, man. So fucking weird. It sucks. It sucks what happened with that stuff. People just, word it a certain way. People will get opposition and support of something that is like, that has some fundamental use in understanding and analyzing it, running with it, and just selling all kinds of fucking snake oil. It's horrible, man. And then it puts a bad taste in everyone's mouth when they talk about something. It's wild. Like, what I gotta end the stream because I'm tired, but like one of those things that's really interesting are like and I saw, I think it was J-Reg mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, that's something I've thought about before. It's interesting because I'm like a history guy. The way that racism, and look, this is what I love, is that like I could say this and automatic thoughts pop into people's heads due to things like what did Jonathan Haidt call the fucking that shit. Even saying Jonathan Haidt is going to trigger some people's heads. Fucking the righteous mind stuff, the moral not moral impulses, moral, Jesus, I can't remember right now, I'm tired, but basically like automatic like knee-jerk triggers to things. But like okay, here's one, right? Fascism, right, is often discussed and conflated with things that are bad, but I mean, because it is bad in most ways, but it's some of the wrong bad things. There's bad things, but they're getting some of the incorrect bad things and conflating them with this other bad thing. And then it's weird. Like racism and fascism are not mutually, what would it be, mutually, like they're not, like, for something to be fascistic, it doesn't require racism, but it people just think it's the same thing, or that one requires the other. You could have a incredibly, well, we've seen examples of democratic racist societies And we've seen very few examples of any kind of attempt at like post-racial fascist societies, right? But you can't even like talk about that without like, oh, is this one of those guys that's like defending fascism? I'm like, man, what's wrong with everybody? It's like dum-dum brain syndrome. It's like, no, fascism as an ideology is not inherently racist, but a lot of people made it that way. Mutually exclusive, yeah. But I'm not in support of that shit at all. Fascism has all kinds of fucking problems as an ideology, all kinds of holes and shit in it. It just doesn't fucking work. But it, but racism and fascism became conflated because of World War II and Hitler's actions, right? What's it called? Italian fascism, Mussolini fascism. Prior to him, like being homies with old Adolf, it it literally in its own text, in its culmination, it talked about. Did I just yeah? It talked about how it it wanted to be post-racial. That's what's interesting. Doesn't make it good. It's still shit, but it wanted to be post-racial. It was like what communism was trying to do when it came to like post-religious, post-racial, that kind of idea of like being incredibly secularized and shit like that. They're both just very nationalistic versions, and that's the stronger word I would say is radically nationalistic. That's what a lot of what fascism turns into, or fueled by a lot of radically nationalistic propaganda and ideas being espoused. So the center word you would want to think of when you talk about something like fascism is, or the center idea that you want to be concerned with is generally state control under a hyper nationalistic um, kind of umbrella. Like that's the excuse. That's the um, begin all end all of why the state must take full control because of nationalistic perspectives and things like that. Yeah, I get that, but still, like it's just all it takes is something pretty cursory to go. Like I get it. If somebody says I'm a fascist, right? I'm not gonna assume this level of nuance. I'm just gonna assume they're fucking like probably just some shit stirrer. They just want to get people upset, and or they're just like anti this, anti that because like of personal chips on their shoulder and all kinds of shit like that. Um, but no, sure. Racism is very enticing to fascists as minorities, can be leverages as common enemies, escape. Yeah, of course. It's a tool. It's a tool that can be implemented to reinforce fascistic views. But what's interesting is right, let's see, we're getting into weird topics. I would argue that right now the type of, fascistic ideas that are being uh somewhat popularized in certain levels uh, is like going at a more post-racial angle, and everyone seems that it's against it seems to be so hyper focused on the racial fascism that it's kind of allowing, or it's just kind of neglecting the more nationalistic um, problems that might be coming with some of these trends. But fascists need simple solution to complex problems so they can abdicate their responsibility to the leader, yeah, or to the state, yeah. And for it to even remotely function, the state has to believe it's capable of achieving these like impossible goals. Have alarm bells go off after a certain topic comes. Yeah, I know. I get that, but like it can't dictate the way every conversation goes. That's crazy. Like intent is so fucking important context and intent is so important. Like, if I was like a bigger streamer, all they would have to get is that clip of me going, fascism and racism aren't the same thing. And then they would just go like, he's being a fascist apologist. He's a fascist fucking, what is it? Whistleblower or whatever, the whistleblower, dog whistler or some shit like that. Like, it's just, what, man? Like, why are we doing this, people? I could talk about something, explain something, and then still say that's a bad thing. It's so weird. Like, I could read, I could explain the contents of the book, The Modest Proposal, argue for fun why this piece of satire isn't true satire. In fact, it was really what was trying to be like pushed forward, and I'll explain why it's so good. The Modest Proposal. It, but just merely mentioning, oh yeah, this is what The Modest Proposal is about, and it's an interesting book or it's an interesting piece of literature, does not mean, oh man, that person really wants people to start fucking eating babies and shit. It's just so wacky, man. It's so wacky. But yeah, 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 yeah. And the simple solutions thing, depending on what kind of like communism someone's espousing, especially if it's like the more untenable or uh like they require so much setup that like there's just no way to transition into it um before, as many would argue, starting to lean towards was like a socialist stuff and things like that. It gets to that point too with some people that have like communistic or communist perspectives or want that sort of world. They think it could just be done, and it's very like, it's a very simplistic mindset when it comes to this stuff. Like, if like an actual like uh I guess if somebody is communist, would be like, oh yeah, there's like so many fucking steps to this, and getting mad about this and that is kind of goofy because it's not going to be fucking effective in like implementing ideas that I want to like become memetics that allow for a growth in what eventually could become like a socialist or communist society. Right? They want, it's always like this instant gratification shit. Um it's weird, man. Like, these days I consider myself an anarchist, but I'm not like the goofy kind, the LARPing kind that think it's like something you can just fucking do, or that it requires some kind of accelerationist collapse for it to ever occur, right? Because that's a huge risk you're taking. Yeah, reclaiming autonomy at work, one piece at a time. Um, but yeah, it's one piece at a time. That's the only way it could work. So I have like views about what I would like society to look like, human beings to interact with, and how the state apparatus should function. I am not so, I think it's mean to say deluded. I am not so, because it's not really the right word. I am not so like hope filled, optimistic. I would it be that? I don't know. That I think that some of these ideas that I think are really good and I wish things were like, it's not going to require like probably thousands of years. Right? This shit's not happening overnight. Literally, like not even in the next few centuries. It's not happening. All right, because a lot of anarchist stuff would require some stuff that is socialist here, and some stuff that is more democratic here, and some stuff that is more little pinch of some of the realities that capitalism has taught us about what people are like in a system such as that, and where to do this and where to do that, right? And so like um I know that like, oh man, I have this ideological perspective on what I think the world should look like, but I accept that's not going to happen in my lifetime, my children's lifetime, my children's children's lifetime. I just have to sort of think of it more abstractly and go, what am I doing in my life? What am I saying in my short life that may have even the most minor of domino effects on future generations of people that have experienced life through a similar lens? That's the best I can do. And it's not just by talking about it like this publicly, it's also the way I raise my children, and the healthy ideas that I'm trying to like culminate in them about self-worth and things like that, and the worth of others, and then, you know, that's all you can do. I guess I forget sometimes that people don't even stop to think once their alarm bells go off and just react based on their knee jerk. Yeah, that happens all the time. It's just like, you said the word. You said the word that makes me think of all these other things that other people that I don't like have said. I've told the story a million times, but I got yelled at by one of my history professors, right? Like, I don't know, small woman, normally very like reasonable, dare I say, she's kind of like pessimistic but pretty reasonable and chill. And I brought up some kind of like idea or argument regarding at the time someone involved in some contentious stuff, and I got yelled at. I got yelled at and called all this stuff, that I was supporting this and I was supporting that. And I was just like, wow, this is a person that literally writes like articles and books and shit, and studies various levels of nuance, but because it exists in their current conditions, the knee jerk is there. The knee jerk still hurts. And that knee jerk reaction that you mentioned is something that I think should be taught out of people. It is not the human condition. Humans will always be like that. It's like, no, I don't think they have to be. Well, can just changing the curriculum suddenly manifest that into being? No, but changing the curriculum for the next, 10 generations might. So, to some degree. It takes time. I'm an idealist. I guess Star Trek affected me that way. Yeah. Star Trek affected a lot of millennials. Um, but um, but yeah. It takes a long fucking time. So that's why accelerationism is really silly to me. Accelerationism to me sounds like somebody that just wants their candy now. I want my society now. I want to get it started soon. So everything's got to go down and burn for it to come from the ashes like a phoenix. That's goofy, man. Because you don't even know how long it's going to take to recover, and if it ever does. And if it does, it might just turn into the same shit anyway. It likely would. See here. Knee-jerk reaction is sought after by reactionaries. This is the dynamic behind polarization, because creating us versus them dynamics. Yep, absolutely, 100%. Yes. Great, strong brand loyalty. Yep. It's all brand loyalty shit. It's all tribalism shit. Can you teach various forms of tribalism out of humans? Yes, you can. You can teach it out of them. And if you do it for enough generations, it becomes a societal or cultural norm, which gets offloaded into the cloud. The cloud is culture, which then, after many generations of pursuing it, become something fundamentally easy for the average parent or person to teach the child, which maybe over the course of extended years, it can start having some kind of genetic effect. To what degree, I don't know. But, yeah. Shit is long-term, guys. You are not the protag. Remember that. You are not the protagonist. We are all the protagonist. That was cheesy. But it's kind of true. We're all the protag. As a species. And if you want to extend it beyond species as like just sentient life forms, and things like that. Yep. Anyway. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for your time. thanks for being here. If you like my ideas and what I ramble about and some of the schizoid related stuff or non-schizoid related stuff, please support me on Patreon and PayPal or whatever the fuck. I really fucking appreciate that with the donations and stuff. Another thing, if you want a service from me, right? Not just like, oh, good, cool show, I'm gonna give you money. But I currently do stuff like, and I have like a few people that do it with me on occasion. But I do like schizoid focus sort of uh life coaching stuff. So for zoids, for schizoids, mainly because that's like where I can talk about motivation and all kinds of issues, or listen and understand and communicate, and things of that nature. And I think I know what issues and ideas need to be explored that could help motivate the Zoid to give a shit about certain things, or at least start taking steps toward learning how to give a shit. Or maybe the ones that already do give a shit, but they just get drowned in certain things, and discussing it with somebody that's experienced similar. That's something I offer. I guess it's gross. The term is gross, but yes, I guess I'd be some kind of life coaching because I'm not a therapist, so I can't call myself anything else. Should have got that PhD, or at least that psych masters, not the history masters. That was a big mistake. And but I don't charge a whole crazy lot. I'll just kind of like ballpark sliding scale it. If somebody is like, I'm broke, all I got is $20, I'll be like, all right. But I'm hoping for honesty. So if somebody can do like, the preferable like $50 for an hour, however often they need it, and if they feel like, wow, that was shit, that was worthless, um we can discuss like, I don't know, a partial refund or something. But I try my best for it to not be absolute dog shit. Um, and I don't care what the Zoid wants out of it. I mean, I care, but I don't care as in like it's not a very specific thing. Some Zoids just need a wall to bounce stuff off of. Some Zoids want to explore philosophical, psychological concepts that they're like kind of like, it's been fucking with them and they don't really have anyone to talk to about it, or ideas and stuff like that. Or some Zoids just want to figure out how to like to be okay with getting out of bed, or how to reconceptualize a lot of things in life so that they can like function a little better, or how they can maybe approach therapy with an actual therapist, how they can discuss it, what they could say that could be of more use to their experience or their own kind of recovery of certain things. What is themselves and what is like the disorder or whatever. Discussions of that kind are definitely things that I can do for somebody that needs that. Yep. Anyway, so yep, that's it, guys. As usual, when day is dark, always remember, happy day.